keeping it real. Moving on to Rwanda, why is Paul Kagame harassing a woman, a 35-year-old woman? Why can't he pick on his mates? I beg. This 35-year-old woman, Diane, was the only female candidate that challenged him during the elections. First of all, they started circulating nude pictures, which she said were photoshopped. So they were circulating these nude pictures, and then they beat up and jailed some of the people that were working with her while she was trying to get signatures. You guys know that in Rwanda, you need at least 600 signatures for you to run. So she didn't get 600 signatures, she got 1,100 signatures. But the Kagame's government refused to validate the signatures. They said that they were not valid. Can you guys imagine? They said only 572 signatures were valid. Haba! So they disqualified her based on that. They said that she couldn't produce 600 signatures. Kagame is so afraid of this lady that he won't even let her name appear on the ballot paper. So then he said he won the election by 99%. And I'm like, really? Who wins a presidential election by 99%? Except dictators. So the man has been president now for 17 years. Why is that not enough? Considering the fact that he was also the Minister of Defense before he became president, he was also the Vice President before he became president. He's been in government now for 22 years. But obviously it's not enough. Now, after the election, they arrested this lady. They arrested her mom. They arrested her sister. They said they did not pay taxes. And I'm like, shoo, it is now that you're suddenly realizing that. In fact, if that were to be true, they would have used that against her before the election. Don't you think so? And then they accused her of forging signatures during the campaign. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. If she had used these signatures to run, maybe this would make sense. But you didn't allow her to run with those signatures. You disqualified the signatures. And now you are arresting her for forging the signatures that you disqualified. And the whole time you were disqualifying her, you did not say that the signatures were forged. Haba, somebody is lying somewhere. So they kept her for days. They kept her and her mom and her sister at an undisclosed location. And then they put her under house arrest. Now they arrested her again. This time around, they said that it's because she's planning a coup. I'm so confused. Like, seriously, why can't Kagame just have one story? Because he keeps changing his story about this woman. First of all, it was taxes, and then signatures, and now coup. Really? She was planning a coup? Kagame, how convenient. And of course, some Rwandans would defend this man, even though they know that this is not right. And even though none of them can aspire to be president so long as Kagame is alive, they can't even protest. Keep in mind, by the way, that this is exactly what Kagame did to another woman that challenged him in 2010. I'm talking about Victoria Ingabire. Some people call this woman the Nelson Mandela of Rwanda. She was living in the Netherlands with her family, but she was actively involved in the Rwandan politics as an opposition member. And then she went back to Rwanda, and in 2010, all opposition parties merged and they made her their presidential candidate. The same way that he blocked Diane from running, Kagame also blocked this woman from running. In fact, he did not allow her to register her party. Now, after the election, he arrested her and said that she was forming an armed group with the aim of destabilizing the country. They charged her with terrorism and threatening national security. Do you guys know that they sentenced this woman to 15 years in prison? At first, they sentenced this woman to 8 years in prison, and then they increased her sentence to 15 years in prison. 15 years! It's been 7 years now because she was actually in custody for 2 years. So they've imprisoned her for 2 years before they finally sentenced her. In fact, some people are starting to forget about this woman already. She's been in jail now for 7 years. And the latest story about this woman is that she's now being starved. Right there in the prison. Now they are starving her. And she's not the only one, by the way. There are thousands of political prisoners in Rwanda. People like Bernard Ntaganda, an opposition leader who was jailed for 4 years, he's been released. And also Agnes Nkusi, she's a journalist that was also jailed for 4 years because of stories that she reported. Thank God that she has also been released. But you know, there are thousands of others, not to mention those who disappeared. But you know what? The world is watching whether Kagame likes it or not. You guys not don't know much. Guess what? I'm just keeping it real.